How we doing?
How are you? All right. You worked with Coach Hart his last 2 seasons when he was running back at Michigan, 2006, 2007. I guess with him being nominated for the Broyles Award, what were maybe some of the qualities you saw in him during those 2 years that you felt like, would allow him to be a successful coach down the road?
Well, he's always had a great passion for football. I mean, he's loved the game, and I thought that's where it started. And then as a player, he was always demanding. He demanded people around him to play at his level. He demanded excellence out of them all the time. He was a great leader. And so, I didn't know he wanted to go into coaching at the time. I knew he wanted to pursue the NFL when he was done playing, which he did. And I didn't know what he would do after that, but once he got into coaching, I knew he'd be a great success.
Coach, obviously you spent a lot of time at Michigan as a coach. What's it mean to go back there now on the opposite sideline? But is there still some kind of sentiment going back there?
I really, I know this may sound weird to you, but I really don't think about it. I don't. I always, in the past is the past, and I always try to live, in the present, and I really haven't thought 1 second about it, other than they're the next opponent. And they've got a great defense, and studying that hard as I can study it right now, like the other coaches are, and we're putting our plan together today, and we'll continue through the week. But appreciate the question, but I just haven't really, I don't go back that way and think about that, and I don't have that time really anyway.
With that experience you have had there, though, how can you use that for the environment for your team and preparing for the game and the game plan?
Yeah. Well, in fact, I asked one of our players today, I said, he was there a couple years ago when they went up and played, and I just asked from a visiting standpoint, what was the crowd like? And he just said it really didn't compare to, say, Ohio State, Penn State, things like that. And I never felt like it did either. I think it's more the shape of the stadium, how it, it's curved out instead of straight up, and so that noise kind of escapes. And so, and then once you get playing, you're playing the game, and you're not looking up in the stands. So, so I don't know that the noise will be that much of a factor. Yes.
Let's talk about Peyton a little bit. Was that as well as he's played this year, both in terms of throwing and running?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you go back early in the season, he's completing over 70% there for a long period of time, and things playing great. And I think, when you saw him make that run, I think that was a result of what we did in the bye week. We rested him. He didn't take any snaps. I threw the ball a little bit in individual, but didn't take any snaps. We didn't have him run all that. And I mean, you saw how much, he's healthy now. Yeah. And so that kid gives you everything you have. I love him. And he battles all the time, but, now he's got his legs under him a little bit better now. And so, but he had a great football game.
Last season, obviously another close game. Michigan kind of kept you guys' running game from being able to do too much. What do you have to do this season to make sure that doesn't happen again? Well,
I think when you play them, you got to understand, what their strengths are. I mean, all 3 phases of their football team. And then when yesterday I went back and I even looked at last year's film against us. I looked at last year's film against Ohio State. Ohio State, after the first quarter, had -6 total yards. When you study them this year, it's the same things. You're going to have drives. There's going to be situations where you don't have drives. And so you got to be very patient. You got to be able to take, the opportunities when they're given. We're given a short field, we got to score. And we got to be able to drive the football at times. And so you just got to be patient. It's a patient football game because of who they are and what they have on offense, defense, and special teams. So we've just got to keep fighting the fight and win at the end.
Coach, obviously all you guys haven't had a real big quarterback room. As you got later in the year, have you and Coach Sheridan tried to monitor Peyton's throws to kind of keep his arm fresh? And if so, how does that kind of maybe make it tough in practice when you want to run things, but maybe you don't want him to throw as much as normal?
Well, that's where Reese has come in to play, getting him ready as the number 2 guy. And so Reese is getting a lot of reps in practice, and so we balance those out. It's about 50-50 in practice. But we give Peyton the throws he's got to have to get ready for the game, too. So Nick does a great job of monitoring that, and I've always trusted him and always will, and so he takes care of that. Thank you.